Welcome back. Plenty of stocks in focus this morning. Let's kickstart very quickly with Bharti Airtel's numbers. Reema has the latest on that. Reema, good morning.
Hi, good morning. So Bharti Airtel's numbers are largely in line with street expectations. The consolidated revenue growth at 2.3% is bang in line with expectations. Margins have contracted by 20 basis points to 52.9%, but this is slightly ahead of street expectations, and that's because the India performance has beaten, the street, consensus and even street expectations. So the India revenue growth at 3.3% is ahead of peers. India margin expansion is strong, and that's been driven by a very nice ARPU increase of 2.5% quarter-on-quarter to 208%. Now, considering the numbers are in line, there is no big beat, but the numbers are in line, and the stock was under pressure yesterday, down over 3%. I suspect there could be a bit of a recovery today. Back to you.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. So that's an LIC. But Shree Cement, how did the numbers look, Nigel?
Well, Shree Cement, actually, yesterday there was some news with regard to a tax rate that was there. And, they have come out with a clarification on the exchanges. They said that they were asked by the income tax to summarize the views with regard to the show cause notice in January. And there is no demand of tax deposition in the notice issued in January. So that's a clarification that they put out. As we know, the numbers were quite good. The problem with the stock was, again, this IT department news had come to fore. So hopefully, the company can clarify on that, and they can put this behind them. For the time being, it's a bit of an overhang. Explains why the stock was down 5% yesterday. But what about Ashok Leyland, Sonia?
So, Ashok Leyland, you'd have to say that the margins beat estimates. So, I'm going with green over there. And if you compare Ashok Leyland to even its peer Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland's performance this quarter has been better than Tata Motors in the commercial vehicle space, which Ashok Leyland operates in. So, Q3 margins beat estimates. The top line growth, though, is a concern. This has been the case with the entire industry. There's very low single-digit growth that we're seeing on the top line. The volumes have slowed down in the commercial vehicle industry. So, that is the problem area. There's not even a 3% top line growth that we've seen this time around. The EBITDA, as I said, is up about almost 40%. Margins have improved to 12.8 versus 8.8%, and profits are up about 60.5%. So I'm going with green on Ashok Leyland purely because of the margin beat and also the fact that it's doing better than some of its peers like Tata Motors in the commercial vehicle space. But let's hop across to Sonal. She's tracking Tata Chemicals this morning. Sonal, over to you.
Good morning, Sonia. Well, it was a weak set from Tata Chemicals, a top-down miss. If you talk about the revenues, they were down 10%. EBITDA was down 41%. Margins contracted 800 basis points, leading to a profit decline of 60%. The company did take a lot of price cuts in the quarter, and that is what is showing in the numbers as well. They say market demand remains very weak across all the geographies. There's dumping from Turkey, actually, which is coming in Southeast Asian markets, especially China and India, because there's no demand in Europe for soda ash. They're also talking about pricing pressure seen in all regions. So a definite miss. Expect the stock to be in the red today.
All right. Sonal, thanks very much for that. Not a good time for chemicals, right? We'll come back to that with more. But Sundaram Finance is the next one we want to focus on. Abhishek has got details. Abhishek, morning.
Morning, Prashant. There's a mixed set of numbers coming in from Sundaram Finance. AUM growth being healthy at around 25.7% YOY and about 5.15% sequentially. Calculation shows that net interest margin might have declined both YOY and quarter-on-quarter. This is on account of the pressure that they must have faced on cost of funds. Other income was down sharply by 44% quarter-on-quarter, which impacted the operating profit decline and PAT decline. PAT decline was more than 18% quarter-on-quarter in lieu of the same. However, asset quality has improved, so there is no stress in their book, and gross NPA ratio is down to 1.77% versus 1.86% in the previous quarter. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Abhishek. Well, let's hop across to Upasna. She's here to tell us about BSE as well as LIC. Morning, Upasna.
Good morning, Nigel. So, talking about BSE Q3 results, the company reported a strong revenue growth, but margins continue to remain under pressure, showing some kind of uncertainty going ahead. Now, higher operating expenses dented the margins mainly because of the regulatory expenses of 1,076 crores versus 154 on quarter-on-quarter basis. The operating margin also stands at 25% versus 45% on sequentially, and revenue saw an uptick of almost 18% on Q-on-Q basis. Well, it is very important to note that BSE has increased the transaction charges on Sensex options with effect from 1st November 2023, and transaction charges for the quarter has seen an uptick of almost 68% sequentially. The average daily volumes have also seen an uptick of almost 87 on quarter-on-quarter basis, and PAT is down almost about 10%, mainly owing to the contribution of 92 crores to SGF fund for currency derivative segment. Now, next up is LIC. The board meeting is scheduled on 8th of Feb to consider interim dividend for FY23 and FY24.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, Upasna. Well, back to Abhishek now. He's tracking Fusion Microfinance and Geo Finance, which had some big action yesterday. Over to you, Abhishek.
Well, Sonia, to begin with Fusion Microfinance, now microfinance sector is facing pressure across various states like Chennai or especially Tamil Nadu, even Gujarat, Maharashtra, and now to Punjab due to litigation by local parties over there. So credit cost guidance for Fusion Microfinance has been increased to 3.5% for FY24 versus 3% that they had mentioned, in the previous quarter. Gross NPA deteriorated sharply. In absolute value, gross NPA is up 22% quarter-on-quarter. Gross NPA ratio is up to 3.04% versus 2.7% in the previous quarter. Disbursements are up strong, 24% growth YOY and about 16.24% sequentially. AUM growth is healthy at about 23.5% YOY and about 6.65% sequentially. Provisions rose sharply by 23% quarter-on-quarter, which led to minimal profit growth of just 0.6% sequentially. So you can expect the stock to be under pressure today. Geo Financial, they have issued a clarification on the news item that Mukesh Ambani will acquire, Paytm wallet. Geo Financial shares they have sold after this report, as per Hindustan Times. So Geo Financial says that news item is speculative. They have not been in any negotiation in this regard with, Paytm, and they have always made and will continue to make disclosures in compliance with their listing obligation to the SEBI. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Abhishek. Well, let's hop across to Mangalam. He's here to tell us about TVs Supply Chain. Mangalam, expected to open in the green?
Expected to open in the green. If not, then perhaps move into the green, largely because, optically the business looks, the reported numbers look soft. The revenues declined by 6.5%. The EBITDAs declined by about 8%. But that seems like it's by design, because what's good is the key vertical, the margin accretive vertical, which is integrated supply chain. There the revenues have grown 15% and the EBIT has grown 21%. So the margins have moved from high single digits to low double digits as well. 10.5% is what the margins are. The weakness came in the business which has lower margins. That's the network solutions business. Out there the revenue declined by 25% and the EBIT declined by 41% as well. And this is a 5% margin business for the company. Additionally, they've also announced a scheme of arrangement where they will merge their wholly owned subsidiaries, 5 wholly owned subsidiaries, into the company. So that helps in consolidation. So all these are steps in the right direction. Let's see where the stock goes.
All right, thanks a lot for that. That's a long list of stocks that you're looking at. Here's a quick recap. Stocks with positive news flow. There's Bharti Airtel, Shree Cement, Ashok Leyland, Sundaram Finance, BSE, LIC, TVs Supply Chain and Geo Financial Services. While stocks with negative news flow, Tata Chemicals and Fusion Microfinance. That was our list of top 10 stocks. But